Only 12 hours remain until I officially become Alexander's wife. 12 hours until our 10-year love, a lifetime romance, finally reaches its beautiful conclusion. This luxury penthouse on Park Avenue is the place where we plan to build our home. Tonight, everything is eerily silent. From the balcony, the lights of New York City glitter like a galaxy of fallen stars, but inside me, a strange unease is growing. I tell myself it's probably just the typical pre-wedding jitters every bride feels. The constant sound of running water comes from the bathroom. Alexander is in there. I smile and decide to check the suitcase one last time. It's the one he said he packed for our honeymoon in Bora Bora. I just want to make sure our passports and documents are in order. I've always been this meticulous, and Alexander always said he loved that organized side of me. The expensive designer suitcase rests by the closet. I unzip it to check the outer mesh pocket. Everything seems fine, but when I lift the fabric flap of the main compartment to check the hidden pocket underneath, my hand freezes. It's bulging unnaturally. My hands tremble as I touch a hard plastic folder carefully tucked beneath the fabric. My heart lurches. This isn't my suitcase. I have no right to go through his things, but something, a dark premonition, compels me to continue. I pull out the folder. The air around me feels thick. The first document is a copy of a marriage certificate. Groom, Alexander Thorne. I hold my breath. Bride, Chloe Lowell. Chloe Lowell. That name is so familiar. I search my memory, but my mind is a blank slate. And the date of registration, March 15th. 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was with him, trying on wedding dresses. My throat feels dry. Beneath the marriage certificate, a black flash drive trembles in my hands. I plug it into the laptop that's open on the vanity. Hundreds of photos appear on the screen. No, these aren't keepsakes. It's a complete wedding album, shot by a professional photographer in Napa Valley. Alexander, with that same radiant smile, that same tender gaze, but his arms are around another woman. And Chloe, dressed in a pristine white wedding gown, leans shyly on his shoulder. Her happy smile is dazzling. They make a perfect couple. They look at each other with an intensity I thought he reserved only for me. It feels like someone is squeezing my chest. I quickly scroll through the photos, hoping it's a sick joke, a terrible mistake, but it's not. The third document is an itinerary for a honeymoon that has already been booked. The destination isn't Bora Bora, but Kyoto, Japan. Plane tickets, tickets for the Japanese bullet train, receipts from a hot springs resort, all in his name and hers. And then the last paper slips out, falling like a final stab that shatters what little sanity I have left. A pregnancy tracking report from a prestigious Upper East Side clinic. Patient's name, Chloe Lowell. Date of last consultation, 2 days ago. Result, 12-week twin pregnancy. Development completely normal, 12 weeks. That means the pregnancy began right around the time he married her. I collapse to my knees on the cold floor, the folder and its documents scattered at my feet. My ears are ringing. I can no longer hear the city's murmur. I no longer see the twinkling lights. I only see the happy smiles of Alexander and Chloe. I see those 2 little lives growing inside her, 10 years. My 10-year love story is a grand farce in which I was the only actor who didn't know the script. Suddenly, the water in the bathroom stops running. The lock clicks. He's coming out. I hurriedly gather the folder, stuff it back into the hidden compartment of the suitcase, and zip it shut. Just a second before the bathroom door opens, Alexander steps out with a towel around his waist, his hair still dripping. He looks relaxed and happy. Seeing me sitting on the floor by the suitcase, he smiles. "What are you doing down there with that spooked look on your face, my love? Nervous about tomorrow again?" He walks over and bends down to hug me. I pull away, forcing a smile. I was just checking the passports in case we forgot something." "Relax, Olivia. I've already taken care of everything," Alexander says, stroking my head, his smile still intact. "Come on, let's get to bed early. You need to be the most beautiful bride in the world tomorrow." The most beautiful bride. Those words now sound like an insult. I nod, faking exhaustion, and get into bed, pulling the comforter up to my face. Alexander doesn't notice anything strange, or maybe he just doesn't care. He turns off the light, and soon his steady breathing resonates beside me. But I can't sleep. In the darkness, my tears flow uncontrollably. Chloe Lowell. The name repeats in my head over and over. And then, the memories flood back. I remember now. Chloe, the young woman Alexander's family had taken in years ago. I remember Chloe was the daughter of his father's business partner who had gone bankrupt. The family was ruined. Chloe's father, in his despair, took his own life, leaving behind his wife and young daughter. Alexander's mother, Catherine, in an act of compassion, welcomed Chloe into their home, raising her as one of their own. Back then, I thought Catherine was a woman with a great heart. Chloe was a few years younger than us, always with a fragile, vulnerable air, always bowing her head timidly, calling Alexander Big Brother and me Olivia. I even felt sorry for her. When Alexander was cold, even distant with Chloe, I would scold him. I remember telling him once, "Don't be so hard on her, Alex. The poor girl has suffered enough." At that moment, he just frowned and gave me a strange look. "You don't understand, Olivia. That girl isn't as simple as you think. It's better if you keep your distance." I thought he was being overly suspicious. I thought he was a good man who knew how to maintain boundaries. I trusted him blindly. It turns out that coldness wasn't rejection. It was a sophisticated act to deceive me. He wasn't protecting me from Chloe. He was protecting Chloe from my attention. All the details start to fall into place with terrifying clarity. 3 months ago, Alexander told me he had to fly to Singapore urgently to sign a crucial contract, one that could decide the future of the entire company. He was gone for almost a week. It turns out that's when he took Chloe to the courthouse to get married. A month ago, he said he had to go supervise a new resort project in Napa Valley. The work was incredibly stressful. He even sent me photos of boring architectural blueprints. It turns out he was busy taking romantic wedding photos with his legal wife. For the honeymoon, he told me about the white sand beaches of Bora Bora, but he secretly booked a trip to Kyoto with Chloe. A perfect plan, a deception calculated down to the last detail. The man I have loved for 10 years, whom I trusted more than myself, turns out to be a master puppeteer. He was planning the wedding of the century with me, while simultaneously building a small family with another woman. The initial pain transforms into a chill that runs down my spine. I realize I haven't just been betrayed. I've been treated like a fool, a pawn on his chessboard. But why? If he already had Chloe, if he was expecting a child with her, why stage this wedding with me? Alexander's steady breathing beside me now sounds disgusting. The same breathing that for 10 years had given me a sense of peace now resembles the grinding sound of something crushing my heart. I lie motionless all night, my eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, trying to find an answer to a single question. Why? If he loved Chloe, had a child with her, and had married her in secret, why keep me by his side? Why spend a fortune on such a lavish wedding? Did he plan to have me in the light and Chloe in the shadows? Or did he think I was so stupid that I would never find out? All the hypotheses made no sense until a distant memory flashed in my mind. My father, before he passed, was a highly trusted lawyer for Alexander's grandfather. His grandfather was an old tycoon, a sly old fox who had single-handedly built a powerful conglomerate. My father and the old man had a deep friendship that went beyond a simple professional relationship. I remember one time, after a few drinks, my father took my hand and said, "Olivia, I know you love Alexander very much, but remember, his family is complicated, especially his grandfather's will. The old man only trusts you." At the time, I laughed, thinking my father was worrying too much, but now, every one of his words resonates with stark clarity. My father told me that Alexander's grandfather didn't trust anyone, not even his own descendants. He feared that his life's work would be destroyed by incompetence or by bad marriages. Therefore, his will had a special clause. Alexander, his grandson and principal heir, had to legally marry me, Olivia Hayes, before his 30th birthday to inherit 100% of the group's shares. And tomorrow, our wedding day, is precisely Alexander's 30th birthday. I understand. I understand everything. This isn't about love. It's about hundreds of millions of dollars. My 10-year love story was just a condition in his inheritance contract. If he doesn't marry me, he loses everything. Worse, the will also specified that if it were discovered he had committed bigamy or had children out of wedlock before marrying me, the inheritance clause would also be immediately voided. A shiver runs down my spine. I'm not dealing with a simple cheater, but a con artist. He has committed bigamy. He needs this wedding with me to legalize his inheritance, to deceive the shareholders and the family board, and now I also understand why that folder appeared in the suitcase. It wasn't carelessness, it was a trap. Chloe, that weak little sister, left it there on purpose for me to find. What did she want me to do? She wanted me to go crazy with jealousy and cancel the wedding at the last minute. If I canceled the wedding, Alexander wouldn't meet the condition of the will and would lose his entire fortune. But at the same time, he would be free of me, and Chloe, as the only legal wife, could be with him openly. She was killing two birds with one stone. She wanted to destroy us both. They have underestimated me. They thought I would cry, despair, run to confront him, like I used to when we argued over trivial things in college. But they don't know that this ultimate betrayal hasn't broken me. It has awakened something terrifying inside me. Very carefully, I get out of bed. I walk barefoot on the cold oak floor. I go out to the living room. The city lights are still shining, but to me, they are nothing more than soulless specks. I pick up my phone. The screen lights up. I dial the number of Sarah, the director of the event planning company, the person who has worked directly with me for the past 6 months. It rings twice. On the other end, a sleepy voice answers. Hello? Olivia, what's wrong? Is it urgent? I take a deep breath, trying to make my voice sound normal, even a little cheerful. Sarah, sorry to bother you at this hour. I'm so nervous I can't sleep. An idea just came to me. I want to give Alexander a very big surprise. A surprise? At this hour, honey? Sarah sounds more awake now. Tomorrow's wedding, I say with fake enthusiasm, is still on as planned. Everything the same, but the commemorative video at the beginning. I want to change it a little. I just finished another video, more emotional, more meaningful. I'm sending you the file right now. Could you swap it for me? And please, don't let Alexander know anything, okay? After hanging up, I sit in the darkness of the living room. This multi-million-dollar penthouse, meant to be the symbol of Alexander's success and our future, now feels like nothing more than a gilded cage. I remember how happy I was when he proposed to me here, promising me a family filled with the laughter of children. It was all just a very well-produced play. Chloe wants me to cancel the wedding, but I won't. I will give her a gift to make her believe she has won. I look towards the vanity, where the signature dark blue velvet box with the wedding rings rests. They are a pair of diamond rings that Alexander boasted of having commissioned from a famous designer on Fifth Avenue, a design that took half a year. He said they symbolized our unique love. What a sweet lie. I pick up the velvet box, feeling the coldness of the metal and precious stones. I open a high-end, on-demand courier app, one that allows for minute-by-minute delivery scheduling. Recipient's address. I type in the address of the luxury apartment where Chloe lives. I know it because a utility bill once fell out of Alexander's pocket. When I asked, he dismissed it, saying it was a company apartment for important partners who needed privacy. Another lie. Delivery time, 9 a.m. Tomorrow, just when brides are starting their makeup. I leave the sender's note blank, but I open an anonymous messaging app and send a message to Chloe's number, a number I also managed to photograph from Alexander's contacts, saved as Little Sis. The message is brief. Only the one who deserves it can wear it. I want Chloe to receive these rings. I want her to believe I've discovered everything, that I'm heartbroken and have decided to surrender. I want her to believe I've admitted defeat, that I'm returning the symbol of our engagement. When a woman receives her rival's wedding rings just before the ceremony, what will she think? She will think she has won. She will confidently put on her wedding dress, slip on that ring, and come to the ceremony to claim the man who is hers. And I need her to do exactly that. Once everything is done, I return to the bedroom. The night is still long, but I can't waste another second crying. I open the laptop. I connect the flash drive filled with evidence of Alexander's betrayal. Hundreds of wedding photos, the marriage certificate, the plane tickets, and the twin pregnancy report. I don't just copy them, I organize them meticulously, inserting them into a presentation. I choose a soft soundtrack, the same one Alexander had chosen for our ceremony. I start the video with images of our 10 years together, innocent and pure memories. And then, suddenly, I insert the image of his marriage certificate with Chloe. Then, their happy wedding photos are interspersed with the passionate love messages he sent me on the very same dates. I work like a machine, without emotion, without hesitation. With every photo of Chloe I insert, my heart hardens a little more. And when I place the twin pregnancy ultrasound as the final image, I know that the surprise I've prepared for Alexander is complete. I upload the entire video file to a secure cloud server and send the link to Sarah with a note. Remember, Sarah, top secret. This is all my heart and soul. The dawn begins to break on the horizon. I've spent the night awake, but my mind is incredibly clear. I've erased all traces. I put the flash drive back in its place inside the folder and hide it again at the bottom of the suitcase as if no one had touched it. When the sun is fully up, I hear Alexander stirring in bed. I close my eyes, pretending to be fast asleep. He gets up carefully, probably to let me rest a little longer. The small noises in the kitchen indicate he's making breakfast. This man, even while deceiving me in the most cruel way, can perfectly play the role of a perfect fiancé. A moment later, he enters the bedroom with a small tray and gently wakes me. "My love, wake up and have breakfast. Today is your day. You have to eat well to be the most beautiful bride." I rub my eyes and smile. A smile I practiced all night. The smile of the happiest woman in the world. On the tray is a heart-shaped fried egg, my favorite, and freshly squeezed orange juice. "Thank you, honey," I say in a sweet voice. Alexander sits on the edge of the bed, watching me eat. His voice is full of false tenderness. "Eat up. I've been so busy lately, always on business trips, with little time to take care of you. After the wedding, on our honeymoon, I'll make it up to you. Make it up to me." Hearing those words from his mouth makes my stomach turn. He was busy. Yes, busy getting married to another woman, busy taking wedding photos with his new wife, busy taking care of her and her twin pregnancy. I feel a wave of nausea, but I force myself to swallow the fake heart-shaped egg. I look up and meet his gaze. I look closely at the man I have loved for 10 years. It's the same face, the same tender look. How can someone hide such a monstrous secret and remain so calm? He feels not an ounce of remorse, not a shred of guilt. "Honey," I say, trying to sound normal. "I'm a little nervous." "Nervous? Why?" He smiles, stroking my hair. "I'm scared. Scared I won't be the most beautiful bride. The wedding is so big, with so many important guests. I'm scared I won't do it right." Alexander laughs, a laugh full of confidence. "What nonsense. You're my bride. Of course you'll be the most beautiful. I'll take care of everything. You just have to look gorgeous and be happy." I rest my head on his shoulder one last time. Happiness. Since last night, that word has become the bitterest joke. I have eaten the breakfast of lies. I have to play my part to the end. I look at the man before me, the man I once thought was my whole world, the safe harbor of my life. Now he is nothing more than a stranger, a brilliant actor in a play directed by himself. And I, from being the romantic lead, will now become the director of this play's final act. I finish the last bite. I praise him for how delicious it was, for being so attentive, just as I have for the past 10 years. He still thinks I trust him, that I still love him. But this is the last time. I don't know if he noticed anything different in my smile. Probably not, because in his eyes right now, there is only the image of the immense fortune waiting for him after this ceremony is over. I get up and stretch. I'm going to take a shower. The hair and makeup team will be here soon. "Of course, my love," he smiles. I go into the bathroom and lock the door. I turn the faucet on full blast. The sound of the water drowns out the screams of my soul. I look at myself in the mirror. My eyes are swollen from a sleepless night, but my gaze is cold, determined, terrifying. At 8 a.m., right on schedule, the doorbell rings. The makeup artist and his team have arrived. Alexander opens the door, greeting them enthusiastically. I walk out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, and smile at everyone. "Olivia, you look beautiful," the young makeup assistant exclaims. I smile faintly. I know I have to get out of here immediately. I can't bear to sit for hours having my face painted, faking joy in front of Alexander. I can't share the same space with him for another minute. I need a safe place, a place where I can breathe and prepare the final steps. I turn to Alexander, using a whimsical tone, that of a bride on the verge of her wedding. "Alexander." "Yes, my love?" He turns with that same radiant smile. "I'm so nervous," I say, gripping the towel tightly. "With so many people here, I can't concentrate. What if I go to the hotel and get ready there?" Alexander frowns slightly. "The hotel? Why? It's more comfortable here." "No." I shake my head. "I want to give you a surprise. I want to keep my bridal look a secret until the very last moment. I want you to be the most surprised person of all when I walk down the aisle." I emphasize the words surprised and of all. I've booked a suite at the hotel right next to the venue. It's spacious. It has beautiful light. The photos will be even better there. I'm going there with the team now. I've already had my dress sent over. And don't you dare come. I forbid it, or I'll be really mad. I see a flicker of surprise in Alexander's eyes, followed immediately by clear relief. I can read his thoughts. He's breathing a sigh of relief. He was probably worried too, worried that Chloe might show up at this very apartment to make a scene. The fact that I'm disappearing on my own to another location, a public and better protected place, is something he couldn't have wished for more. It makes it easier for him to control the situation here, and prevents me from running into Chloe if she decides to come. He's creating a false safety zone for me, not knowing he has just released his prey from its cage. "All right, my love," he laughs heartily and comes to hug me. "Anything to make you happy. Today, whatever you want, you get." He kisses my forehead, a kiss that feels cold to the bone. I try not to flinch. "Then I'm leaving now. You get ready here and go to the venue early," I say hurriedly, pulling away from his embrace. I turn to the makeup team. "Sorry for the trouble. We're going to the hotel. My things are in the other room. Can you help me carry them?" I quickly change into a simple dress and grab the purse I prepared last night. Inside, I only have my phone, wallet, passport, and a small external hard drive with all the evidence. I walk out the door, waving goodbye to Alexander. "See you at the altar, my love." "Yes, see you at the altar. I love you," he replies, waving back with a satisfied smile. The heavy metal elevator door closes slowly, hiding his fake smile and guilty eyes. As soon as the door shuts, the smile on my face vanishes. I arrive at the luxury hotel suite, just steps away from the wedding venue. The room is enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. The makeup team quickly sets up their tools. The smell of cosmetics, the hum of the hairdryer, it should all evoke the excitement of a bride, but my heart feels only a glacial calm. Just as I sit in the makeup chair, my phone, my regular number, starts to vibrate. It's my future mother-in-law, Catherine. "Hello, Catherine," I answer, trying to keep my voice normal. "Olivia, where are you?" Catherine's voice on the other end sounds urgent, rushed, very different from her usual calm demeanor. "I'm at the hotel getting ready. What's wrong? Which room? Send me the address right now. I need to talk to you alone for a moment. Quickly." She speaks as if giving an order and hangs up abruptly before I can respond. I frown. She's starting her act too. I text her the room number and turn to the makeup artist. "Excuse me, could you all go for a coffee for about 15 minutes? My mother-in-law wants to speak with me privately." Everyone kindly agrees. The room falls silent again. Less than 10 minutes later, the doorbell rings. Catherine enters. She isn't wearing the elegant mother-of-the-groom dress I helped her choose, but an expensive silk loungewear set. Her face is lightly made up, but her eyes betray an uncontainable anxiety. She slams the door shut and quickly comes over to grab my hand. Her hand is ice cold. "Oh, Olivia dear, I'm so worried. I couldn't sleep a wink last night. I kept having a bad feeling. I had to come see how you were." I look at the woman I once respected, whom I considered my second mother. She's playing her part perfectly. She knows everything. She knows about Chloe, about the pregnancy. But here she is, holding my hand and telling me she's worried. Catherine pulls an old, dark, red brocade box from her purse. She opens it. Inside is a sapphire bracelet, a deep, exquisite color, of incalculable value. With trembling hands, she fastens it on my wrist. The bracelet is icy against my skin. This was Alexander's grandmother's bracelet, Olivia. I've kept it for decades, waiting for this day to give it to my son's wife. With this on, you are officially part of the Thorne family. I look at the sapphire bracelet. It's beautiful, but it feels as heavy as handcuffs. I remain silent, waiting to see what else she has to say. Catherine grabs both my hands, lowers her voice, adopting a grave and mysterious tone. Olivia, I know you're a sensible girl. You and Alexander have loved each other since you were children. Your love is deep. But men, you know, especially before such an important day, they have a lot of pressure, a lot of complicated relationships. She pauses and looks me straight in the eye, pronouncing each word carefully. Later, at the ceremony, no matter what happens, no matter what you hear or what you see, you have to trust Alexander blindly. Do you hear me? Everything he does for the good of this family. She squeezes my hands tightly. Promise me, dear. The Thorne family is so lucky to have a daughter-in-law like you. Don't let any outsider ruin this day for us. I understand. This isn't advice. It's a warning, a preparation. She fears Chloe will come and make a scene, and she's come to give me a tranquilizer in advance so that no matter what I see, I'll grit my teeth and go through with the wedding so her son can receive his inheritance. Slowly, I pull my hands from hers, look up, and smile the sweetest smile of an obedient daughter-in-law. I understand, Catherine. Don't worry. I won't disappoint you. No matter what happens, I will make sure today is perfect. Catherine sighs in relief, as if a great weight has been lifted from her shoulders. Good, very good. I trust you. She stands up hurriedly, smoothing her clothes. Well, I'm going to get ready. You get your makeup done too. Don't be late. She leaves as quickly as she arrived. As soon as the door closes, the smile vanishes from my face. I take off the sapphire bracelet and leave it on the table. I call the team back in. The makeup artist begins his work. I close my eyes and let my face be painted. I try to keep my mind blank. The smell of makeup, the soft brush of bristles on my skin. I am like a wooden doll, letting myself be moved. Much later, when it was all over, I learned that at the very moment Catherine was handing me that icy bracelet, in another luxury apartment not far away, another scene of the drama was reaching its climax. Exactly at 9 a.m., the doorbell of Chloe's apartment rings. She, having spent a sleepless night torn between anxiety and expectation, rushes to open it. A courier hands her a dark blue velvet box, the exact same kind used by the brand of wedding rings Alexander had chosen. Inside, the pair of diamond rings sparkles. Immediately after, Chloe's phone receives the anonymous message I had sent. Only the one who deserves it can wear it. Chloe is stunned. According to what Sarah later investigated, Chloe instantly believed that I had found out everything. She believed I was too hurt and humiliated and had decided to run away. This gift was my surrender, my return of the engagement. Victory was within her grasp. The first thing Chloe did was call Alexander. She wanted to confirm her triumph. But at that hour, Alexander was busy greeting important guests in the lobby. He couldn't answer. The unanswered call was, for Chloe, the clearest confirmation. Alexander was in a panic because the bride had fled. This was her chance. Sarah told me that Chloe didn't waste a second. She immediately called Sarah herself, the wedding planner. Chloe's voice sounded full of panic and compassion. Sarah, it's Chloe. Something terrible has happened. Olivia found out about Alexander and me. She's gone. The wedding can't be canceled. The guests are all very important people, and then there's the grandfather's will. If Alexander loses the inheritance, he'll be ruined. Chloe cried into the phone, playing the part of the victim perfectly. And Sarah, whom I had carefully instructed the night before, also played her part. She yelled into the phone, loud enough for Chloe to believe it all. Oh my God, really? We're doomed. What do we do now? The guests are already here. Sarah, Chloe rushed. I'll be the stand-in bride. I can't let Alexander lose everything. I'm already on my way. I have a wedding dress too. Please, get everything ready for me. It'll be like I'm saving Alexander. Okay, Chloe, Sarah replied with a pressing voice. Come right away. I'll take care of everything. The call ended. Chloe breathed a sigh of relief. She had achieved her goal. Sarah told me that Chloe opened her closet. There hung a spectacular wedding dress, a dress she had secretly commissioned long ago, waiting for this day. She put on the dress, did her own makeup meticulously, and finally slipped on the diamond ring I had sent her, the real bride's ring, on her ring finger. Chloe looked at herself in the mirror, a victorious smile on her lips. She didn't know that the dress, the ring, and that smile were all part of my plan. I open my eyes. The makeup artist is finished. Olivia, you look incredible, the young assistant exclaims. I look at myself in the mirror. A perfectly made-up face, beautiful but cold. Eyes without a single ripple of emotion. I'm not wearing a wedding dress. I'm still in my simple street dress. I stand up and look at the clock. 10 a.m. The guest reception has begun. I know this because from my suite, my phone starts vibrating non-stop. It's Alexander. The name My Love flashes on the screen, a name I saved 10 years ago. Now, seeing it, I only feel irony. I don't answer. I let it ring. Each tone is like an urgent, desperate call. The phone vibrates on the glass table, creating a shrill sound. He calls again and again. 4, 5 calls. Since I'm not answering, the phone starts buzzing non-stop with messages. Olivia, where are you? Why aren't you answering? The guests are already arriving. I read the messages but don't reply. I can imagine his face right now. Confusion, worry, and maybe a little fear. Fear that his plan will fail. Another message arrives. Are you mad about something? Answer me. Don't joke around, Olivia. Today is our big day. Our big day. I feel an immense bitterness. I pick up the phone, my fingers gliding over the keyboard. After 10 years together, I know him too well. He is an arrogant man. He needs reassurance that everything is still under control. I type a message with the same capricious tone of an angry bride. I'm preparing the biggest surprise of your life. Don't look for me. I'll show up on my own. I guarantee you'll never forget it. I hit send. A few seconds later, the double blue checkmark appears. He has read it instantly, and instantly, his reply comes. I can feel the relief in every word. A surprise. You almost gave me a heart attack. I have a surprise for you too. I love you. Hurry up. Everyone is waiting. I love you. 3 words. Even at this moment, he can type them so easily. He thinks I'm just mad about something trivial, that I'm still the lovesick fool who runs after him. He has no idea. The surprise I'm talking about is, in fact, a gift he will never forget for the rest of his life. I stare at the words I love you on the screen. This is the last time. I don't reply again. I calmly turn off the phone. Then I open the SIM card slot. The SIM card that has been with me for 10 years, that holds so many of our messages, so many of our calls. I take it between 2 fingers and snap it in half. I drop the 2 pieces into a glass of water on the table. They sink slowly to the bottom. All communication is officially severed. I am no longer Olivia, Alexander Thorne's fiancée. I am Olivia, a free woman. I pick up the burner phone I had prepared. A new phone, a new SIM card, with only one contact. My best friend, who is also at the wedding as a guest. It's 11 a.m. I'm not at the ceremony. I'm sitting in a posh cafe on the hotel rooftop, directly across from the wedding venue. From my secluded table, I can see the magnificent lobby below, where guests are pouring in, but I don't need to see it with my own eyes. On my burner phone, I open a secret live stream link. The screen lights up. It's the view from my friend's camera. She's seated in a discreet spot near the sound booth, exactly as we had planned. The ballroom is as splendid as I had designed it myself. Imported white flowers, my favorite, form grand arrangements that cover the stage, creating the feeling of a winter fairy tale garden. dazzling crystal chandeliers, and 500 guests. I scan the screen, recognizing them. They are not our close friends. They are members of the corporation's board of directors, important business partners from all over, key shareholders who hold the deciding vote on Alexander's future. This is not a wedding, it's a display of power. The presentation of the heir. My friend's camera pans to the stage. There stands Alexander Thorne, elegant in a bespoke tuxedo, a happy and confident smile on his face. But I, who have been by his side for 10 years, recognize the tension in the way he constantly adjusts his bow tie. He keeps looking towards the main entrance where the bride should enter. Then he looks towards the front row. Catherine is sitting there in a burgundy mother-of-the-groom dress, but her face is rigid. Her hands are clenched tightly on her designer purse. Mother and son are nervous, not because they are waiting for the bride, but for the moment the will takes effect. A famous MC takes the stage. His voice booms. A warm welcome to all our distinguished guests and partners who have come to celebrate the big day of the groom, Mr. Alexander Thorne, and the bride, Miss Olivia Hayes. Applause rings out. My friend sends me a text. He just asked if I had seen you. I told him you were preparing a big surprise. He smiled, satisfied. I smile. The MC continues. They have shared a 10-year journey of love, a modern-day fairy tale. And now, before we welcome our beautiful bride, we invite you to turn your attention to the giant LED screen behind me to watch a very special video that captures the most memorable moments of their love story. My friend's camera zooms in on Alexander's face. He takes a deep breath, puffs out his chest, adjusts his jacket. He puts on his most radiant smile, the one that once made me fall in love, ready to receive the congratulations and admiring glances of those 500 people. He looks up at the 100-foot screen behind him, waiting. The lights in the hall dim, leaving only a spotlight on the screen. A soft melody begins to play, the one I had chosen. I lift my teacup and take a deep breath. I send my friend a text. Start. I take a sip of chamomile tea. The taste is slightly bitter, but it helps me maintain a strange calm. On my phone screen, my friend's camera continues to transmit a clear feed. The lights in the hall are off. The soft melody resonates. Yes, it's the music I chose. The giant 100-foot LED screen behind Alexander lights up. The first images are a photo of us when we were 7, 2 kids with dirty faces in front of the school. Photos from our 10 years of dating follow. Adolescence in high school uniforms, naive college days, our first trips together after graduation. Through the screen, I see Alexander's smile, a smile of satisfaction and pride. He is immersed in his perfect script. He thinks this is the sweet surprise video I prepared. I see him glance at the front row, where important shareholders are nodding in approval. A fairy tale love story, perfect for solidifying the heir's position. Murmurs of admiration begin to spread. Such a rare love these days. The girl is beautiful and thoughtful. I smile. The main course is about to be served. The music, which was at its peak, suddenly changes tone and stops. The screen goes black for a second. I hear a murmur of concern among the guests. Alexander's smile freezes. He turns to look at the screen, then glares at the tech booth with a frown. He probably thinks it's a technical glitch. And then the screen lights up again. It's not a photo of our memories, but a full-sized wedding photo. Alexander, in a black tuxedo, has his arm around the waist of another woman in a white wedding dress. The background is the dreamlike landscape of Napa Valley. The entire hall falls silent, immediately followed by an eruption of astonished whispers. Who is that? Did they play the wrong video? That's not the bride, is it? My friend's camera focuses on Alexander. His smile is gone. He is petrified, his face pale, his eyes wide, fixed on the screen. He takes a step back, unconsciously shaking his head. No, it's not a mistake, my dear, I murmur to myself. I see Catherine in the front row, half rising from her seat, her hands gripping the back of the chair in front of her. Her face has lost all color. The video doesn't stop. It continues to project a series of wedding photos, Alexander and Chloe kissing passionately by a vineyard, Alexander lifting Chloe in his arms in a meadow. Hundreds of photos capturing every moment of their happiness. A happiness built on my deception. "My God, isn't that Chloe the Thorns ward?" a voice exclaims, loud enough for the camera to pick up. Alexander panics. He turns to the tech booth, raising his hand and shouting, "Stop it! Turn that off! Turn it off now!" But his voice is drowned out by the music. A new melody begins. A sad, somber melody, like a requiem for my 10 years of love. Alexander's shouts are useless. My friend, following my instructions, has had someone lock the door to the sound and light control room. Even if Alexander pounds on the door, no one can intervene. The giant LED screen continues its work, relentlessly revealing the truth. After the romantic series of wedding photos, the screen changes to a white background, and then a crisp scan of the marriage certificate appears. Groom, Alexander Thorne. Bride, Chloe Lowell. Date of registration, 3 months ago. The red seal of the county clerk's office is like a bloodstain striking the eyes of the 500 guests. If before there were murmurs, now the hall is in chaos. My God, he married her? Seriously, I can't believe it. And today's wedding, what is it? This is bigamy. This kid is insane. He's mocking the law and all of us. I clearly hear an elderly shareholder, whom I used to call Uncle James, slam his fist on the table. A scandal, an unacceptable scandal. What kind of business does this family conduct? My friend's camera pans back to Alexander. He is no longer shouting, he is trembling. He stumbles backward, bumping into the arrangements of white flowers, causing the delicate petals to fall onto his expensive tuxedo. He looks at his mother. Catherine tries to stand, but her legs tremble and she collapses back into her seat. The video is not over yet. Next screen, the honeymoon itinerary in Japan, round-trip business class plane tickets, in the names of Alexander Thorne and Chloe Lowell. Invoices from a luxury hot springs resort in Hakone. Bullet train tickets. All the evidence of the business trip to Singapore he lied to me about. I remember those nights alone at home, worrying about him, sending him messages to take care of himself abroad. Meanwhile, he was holding his new wife, soaking in hot springs, watching the cherry blossoms. A bitter taste rises in my throat. So this was his hard work, this was his sacrifice for the company. I admired him for it. I felt lucky to love such a talented, ambitious, and hardworking man. It turns out I was just a fool, painting a perfect model in my mind and drowning in it. The contempt I feel now is greater than the pain. I despise him, I despise Catherine, and I despise Chloe. But most of all, I despise myself for these last 10 years. The guests, in their elegant suits and expensive jewelry, are no longer maintaining their composure. They are on their feet. A sea of phones shot up, pointing directly at the stage, recording the entire humiliating scene. They are shareholders. They are partners. They don't just see a love scandal. They see the fall of an heir. They see business deception. If Alexander can deceive the woman he has been with for 10 years, he can also deceive them. Trust, the most valuable commodity in business, has been shattered. The screen goes dark again. The murmurs in the hall are so loud, they drown out the somber background music. People think the show is over, but no, I still have my final gift. After a few seconds of deathly silence, the screen lights up again. This time there are no wedding photos or plane tickets, just a single sheet of paper, magnified to the maximum. It's an ultrasound report from an international clinic. Patient's name, Chloe Lowell. And the final conclusion, which I have deliberately highlighted with a bright red circle, ultrasound result, twin pregnancy, gestational age, 12 weeks, normal development. If the marriage certificate was a bomb, the twin pregnancy report is a nuclear explosion. The 500 guests hold their breath in unison, a complete, heavy silence that I can feel through the live stream. Twins, not just one child, but twins. He already had heirs with another woman before marrying me. Through my friend's camera, I see Alexander. He is no longer trembling, he is just standing there, motionless. He stares at the words twin pregnancy on the screen. His face is drained of blood. I see Catherine. She has fainted. People around her are trying to revive her. And then, just as planned, the music stops completely. In that deadly silence, my voice resonates clear, calm, and amplified by the ballroom's expensive sound system. Congratulations, Alexander Thorne. My voice, The voice he has heard for 10 years is now as cold as a blade. This gift, I pause. I hope you like it. As soon as I finish speaking, the giant LED screen turns off. Immediately, the hall erupts into absolute chaos. Shouts, insults, the noise of overturned chairs and tables. Everyone is on their feet. Phones held up, recording Alexander, recording the fainted Catherine, recording the shareholders pounding the tables with faces purple with rage. My friend sends me a text with trembling letters. Olivia, it's over. This is chaos. Catherine fainted. The shareholders are calling their lawyers. I watch the scene. I feel no satisfaction, no victory, only an infinite emptiness. My 10 years of youth have been buried with great pomp in the presence of 500 witnesses. Suddenly, my friend's camera shakes violently. It quickly pans to the main entrance of the ballroom. She screams in a voice message. "Oh my God, Olivia! Chloe, she really came. She's here in the wedding dress." At that very moment, in the eye of the hurricane, as Alexander stands like a broken statue on the stage and Catherine is being attended to, the main doors of the ballroom, the ones I was supposed to enter through, swing wide open. There stands Chloe, under an arch of white flowers, resplendent in an expensive strapless wedding gown, her hair in a high bun perfectly made up, and on her ring finger shines the very same diamond ring I sent her. She arrives like a queen, ascending to the podium of glory. Through the live stream, I see Chloe take a deep breath. She doesn't see the chaos inside. She doesn't see the horrified faces of the guests. She only sees her man standing on the stage. She probably arrived just after the video ended. She hears the uproar and thinks it's because of my escape, just as she planned. She thinks this is her moment, the moment to come out and rescue Alexander from the scandal and claim her place. She received the ring. She received Sarah's confirmation over the phone. She is 100% sure that I am the loser. With the most radiant smile, the smile of a victor, Chloe begins to walk down the white petal-strewn aisle. 500 pairs of eyes, horrified by the bigamy scandal, now turn to her. Their gazes are not of admiration, but of curiosity, contempt, and even pity. "My God, it's her," someone exclaims. "The girl from the video, the pregnant one. The nerve to come here." The murmurs start again, louder than before. Chloe's smile begins to freeze. She realizes something is wrong. Why is everyone looking at her like that? Why is no one clapping? And why is Alexander, her man, looking at her with those eyes? It's not the look of relief of someone who has been saved. It is a look of hatred. The look of a cornered beast seeing the one who pushed it into the abyss. But Chloe is already halfway down the aisle. She can't turn back. She keeps trying to smile. Her voice trembles, but she forces herself to speak loudly. "Alexander, I'm here. I came." She still thinks I fled and she has come to take my place. Alexander looks at her, his legal wife, the mother of his twins, the person who has brought him to ruin. Chloe continues to walk onto the stage, extending her hand towards Alexander with a dramatic voice, as if from a soap opera. "Alexander, don't be afraid. I'm here. I am your true wife." She has barely finished speaking when the hall explodes. I remain motionless in the rooftop cafe. Through the phone screen, the scene in the ballroom resembles the worst kind of tragicomedy. Chloe's line, "I am your true wife," echoes shrilly through the speakers. It's like a lit match thrown into a powder keg named Alexander. I see him, the man I loved for 10 years, the one who had never raised his voice at me. Now his face is disfigured by rage, humiliation, the collapse of his inheritance plan, the shameful exposure in front of 500 people. It all builds up. And Chloe, his legal wife, the mother of his twins, chooses this precise moment to appear, like the final living proof, annihilating any hope of denial. He doesn't look at her with the eyes of a husband, but with those of an enemy. "Get out." I can't hear the word clearly due to the camera's distance, but I read his lips. A single word, spat between clenched teeth. Chloe is stunned. She had probably imagined Alexander would rush to embrace her, would point at me if I were there, and declare her his true love. She did not expect to receive that word. "Alexander," she stammers, still trying to get closer. "I came to help you. Olivia is gone." I said, "Get out!" This time I hear the roar, and then something happens that I would never have dared to imagine in 10 years. Alexander, the elegant heir, my tender man, raises his hand. Slap. The sound rings out clear and sharp, silencing the crowd's murmur. The slap is so hard that Chloe's head snaps to the side. She loses her balance. The diamond ring I sent her flies off her finger, rolling across the stage. But Alexander doesn't stop. Rage has turned him into a beast. He shoves Chloe hard, the woman carrying his twins. "You conniving bitch! You did this! You ruined me!" Chloe is wearing high heels. The stage, nearly 6 feet high, is decorated with flowers and is very slippery. Alexander's push is too strong. I see Chloe lose her balance, stumble backward, and suddenly, her foot gives way. She tumbles off the stage. Her body hits the speakers and sound equipment set up just below. There's a dull thud, followed by screams from the guests in the front row. Everything seems to stop for a second. Chloe lies motionless on the marble floor, her exquisite white wedding dress now rumpled and dirty. And then, under the white fabric, a trickle of red blood begins to spread, slow but unmistakable. Blood. She's bleeding. Call an ambulance, quick. She's pregnant. My God, he's killed her. The ballroom truly explodes. Screams, phone calls, camera flashes firing nonstop. They are no longer wedding guests. They are witnesses to a tragedy. My friend's camera focuses on Alexander. He stands on the stage, looking down at the pool of blood, looking at his legal wife and his unborn children. His face is empty of all emotion. I slowly turn off the live stream screen. The chaos of the hall, the screams, the image of the pool of blood, it all disappears as the phone screen goes dark. The space around me becomes strangely silent. The rooftop cafe continues with its soft jazz music. The wind brushes my hair. I sit for a little while longer, watching the street below. The traffic flows normally. The city keeps running. It doesn't stop for anyone's tragedy, and I, too, must go on with my life. I call the waiter and pay for the now cold chamomile tea. I pick up my small carry-on suitcase and step into the elevator. No one recognizes me. The woman in a simple dress and sunglasses is actually the bride of the disastrous wedding taking place in the building next door. I had booked a car in advance. A sleek black car is waiting for me at the hotel's back exit. I get in. The car blends silently into the traffic. The driver takes me to JFK Airport. I had bought the ticket a week ago with my passport, using a different bank account that Alexander knew nothing about. I checked in online. It took only a few minutes to get through security. I enter the VIP lounge. Here, everything is calm. Whispered conversations, the rustle of magazine pages, the soft clinking of cups. An absolute contrast to the scene I just witnessed. A cruel contrast between hell and peace. I find a secluded corner and sit down. The burner phone vibrates. A message from my friend. "Olivia, have you left yet?" The ambulance took Chloe. It looks serious. Alexander was frozen for a while and then ran out. He didn't go with the ambulance. He left his fainted mother there. He ran to the parking garage and drove off like a madman. "Be careful. I'm afraid he's coming to look for you." I read the message without a flutter in my heart. Look for me? For what? To blame me for what he has caused. I take a deep breath. I remember the last 10 years. I lived like a worker bee, building what I called our home. I turned down better career opportunities because Alexander said he didn't want me to work so much. I put my dream of studying abroad on hold because he said he didn't want a long-distance relationship. I sacrificed. I endured. I trusted blindly. I thought a childhood love was the most enduring. It turns out it's also the most fragile because it's built on habit, not respect. The large screen in the departure lounge announces that my flight to Paris is about to board. The 12:30 p.m. flight. I stand up and grab my suitcase. I don't look back. I walk towards the gate, where a new life awaits me. 10 years of youth, 10 years of love and deceit. I give myself permission to leave it all behind in this city. I wasn't there. I wasn't there to witness the next scene. I was in the sky, flying through the clouds to the other side of the world. Everything that happened in the penthouse was what my friend told me later. She said that Alexander drove like a maniac. He left Chloe at the hospital, his fainted mother at the ceremony, the 500 guests, and the disastrous mess of his family. He had only one thought: to find me. Perhaps he thought I was at home crying, packing my bags, waiting for him to confront me, to scream at him. He still thought I was the same weak fool from 10 years ago, that with a few caresses and apologies, everything would go back to normal. He ran up to the penthouse, unlocked the door with his key, and froze. The apartment was completely empty. Not the emptiness of a new, unfurnished home, but the emptiness of a place that has been completely cleared out. The expensive Italian designer sofa, gone. The 100-inch curved television, gone. The walnut dining table, gone. All my designer clothes in the walk-in closet, gone. The photos of our memories hanging in the hallway, gone. Even in the bathroom, my pink toothbrush, the half-used tube of toothpaste, my favorite shower gel, all gone. The enormous apartment only echoed with the sound of his own ragged breathing. Not a trace of me remained, as if I had never existed in that place. My friend told me that Alexander couldn't believe his eyes. He ran from room to room. The living room, the bedroom, the study all empty. Only his own solitary, out-of-place furniture remained. It was then that he saw a small note stuck to the refrigerator. It was an invoice from a luxury moving and storage company. Date of service, 3 days ago. At that moment, he realized, this wasn't a fit of anger, not a rash decision after discovering the secret last night. This was a plan. A meticulously prepared plan. He roared a roar, not of anger, but of fear. For the first time in his life, the man who always believed he had everything under control realized he had been played from the beginning. He realized I knew, had known for a long time. My silence over the past few days, my smile that morning, the heart-shaped breakfast, the goodbye in the elevator, it was all part of the play. He thought he was the director, but it turned out he was just an actor in my show. My friend told me that after realizing the harsh reality, Alexander lost his composure. He began to tear the house apart, hoping to find something, anything, a letter, a note, a trace of me. He opened every drawer, lifted every mattress, looked in every corner, but there was nothing. I had cleaned everything too well. I hired an industrial cleaning service. They had scrubbed the apartment to the point where not even my familiar perfume lingered, only the cold smell of disinfectant. He collapsed in the middle of the empty living room, screaming my name desperately. And then he saw it. On the glass coffee table, where just a few hours earlier he had watched me tenderly as I ate my last breakfast, one thing remained. A photo. Not a wedding photo or one from a luxury trip. It was our first photo together. A picture taken in Charleston 10 years ago, when we were just 19 or 20 zero-year-old students. In the photo, I was smiling brightly, my eyes squinting in the sunset, and he had his arm around my shoulders with a naive, proud smile. That photo was once my treasure, the proof of a pure love. But now, the photo was torn in half. Not a clean cut with scissors, but a jagged, violent manual tear, as if the person who tore it had used all their strength. The half, with my image, was gone. The other half remained on the table. Only Alexander was left with his naive smile, hugging an empty space. My friend said Alexander picked up that half photo with trembling hands. He stared at the empty space beside him. He didn't cry. He just started to laugh. A crazed, hoarse laugh that echoed through the empty apartment. He understood. I hadn't just left, hadn't just abandoned him. I had erased him from 10 years of my life. I had torn up the past. The half that belonged to me, I took with me. The half that belonged to him, I returned. I gave him back his falsehood, his emptiness, and a future where I would never be. Alexander clenched the half photo so tightly his knuckles turned white, and then he buried his face on the table. His broad shoulders, the shoulders I once thought were my world, began to shake violently. As Alexander fell apart next to the torn photo, I was thousands of miles away on a flight of over 10 hours. I huddled under the thin business-class blanket, trying to sleep, but I couldn't. The image of Chloe falling, the pool of blood on the marble floor, haunted me. I felt no satisfaction, only fear. Fear of Alexander's madness, and fear of the cruelty of my own plan. Everything that happened after my departure was what my friend told me. After I settled in Paris, she said that Alexander didn't stay broken in the empty apartment for long. As he was drowning in his despair, he received 2 phone calls that officially closed all the doors to his life. The first was from the hospital. An emergency room nurse informed him in a cold voice, "Are you a relative of the patient Chloe Lowell? The patient has suffered severe trauma from a fall. We did everything we could, but we were unable to save the pregnancy. Both fetuses have been lost. The patient has also lost a lot of blood and is in critical condition. Please come to handle the paperwork immediately." My friend said Alexander just listened, his hand trembling. He didn't say a word, just hung up. The twins, the weapon he had used to deceive me and that Chloe had used to tie him down, were no more. He had just lost his children because of his own cruel push. But the tragedy didn't end there. He had barely processed the news when the phone rang again. This time it was an unknown but formal number. It was from the law firm that managed his grandfather's will. The family's senior partner, an older man I also knew, informed him briefly, without any emotion in his voice. "Mr. Thorne, I am calling to inform you, based on the events that occurred at the celebration this morning, in the presence of the entire board of directors and shareholders, you have seriously violated the clauses of the late chairman's will." Alexander seemed to react then. He growled in a hoarse voice, "What are you talking about?" The lawyer continued calmly. "The will clearly states that you must legally marry Miss Olivia Hayes before your 30th birthday. Today is your 30th birthday. However, your act of bigamy, being legally married to Miss Chloe Lowell, has been exposed. At the same time, you have caused a severe moral scandal that directly affects the honor and brand value of the corporation, according to the clause. A clause, by the way, that Miss Hayes's father advised on. We are forced to nullify your right of inheritance." "Nullify?" Alexander screamed. "That is correct, sir. As of this moment, your entire controlling stake in the corporation will be transferred to a charitable trust, as was the late chairman's wish. You are no longer the majority shareholder. We are sorry." The lawyer hung up. Alexander collapsed onto the floor of the empty apartment. For 10 years, he had schemed, he had acted, he had deceived me. All for this day. He wanted it all, the family fortune, me as a perfect trophy wife, and Chloe as a secret mistress with children. But in a single morning, in just a few hours, he lost me, he lost his twins, and he lost his entire fortune. He lost his past, his future, and his present. He was left with nothing but half a torn photo in his hand. I arrived in Paris one afternoon. The city greeted me with a cold drizzle. I dragged my suitcase down a cobblestone street, feeling small and lost. But strangely, I didn't feel afraid. It was the first time in 10 years that I was breathing my own air. I was free. In the following days, I learned how desperate Alexander had been. After realizing he had lost everything, he didn't go to the hospital to see Chloe, nor did he go to the company to fix the disaster. He abandoned everything. In his mind, only one obsession remained: to find me. Perhaps it was no longer love, but the resentment of a loser. He couldn't accept that I, the woman he always considered weak and dependent, had dealt him such a fatal blow. He had to find me to confront me, to vent, or maybe to prove he could still control me. He used his last connections, the little power he had left before the news of his disinheritance spread. He called the head of airport security, friends at airlines, asking them to check the passenger lists of all flights that left the city that day. He believed I couldn't have gone far, that I was hiding somewhere in the country, maybe in my hometown or some tourist city, crying. And then the information came to him, but that information only drove him crazier. His contacts informed him in a confused voice, "Mr. Thorne, it's very strange. The system shows that Miss Hayes's passport has tickets for 10 different flights, all departing today." Alexander roared. 10 flights? To where? One to Miami, another to Chicago, another to Aspen. Also a train ticket to Boston, a flight to Lisbon, another to Rome. Alexander didn't need to hear more. He understood. I had created too dense a smokescreen. 10 tickets, 10 different destinations, paid for with 10 different virtual cards. He couldn't know which flight I had actually boarded. He couldn't know where in the world I was. I had used the very money he had given me for the wedding preparations to buy my freedom. My friend told me that Alexander smashed his phone. He realized I hadn't just left, I had erased myself from the map. I had planned everything long ago. He had been led into a chess game where he was checkmated from the very first move. His pursuit hit a dead end. He was powerless. And for someone as arrogant as Alexander, powerlessness is the cruelest punishment. In Paris, I cut off all contact. I got a new phone number. I only kept in touch with my friend through a secure app. The first days of winter in Paris were truly cold. The cold seeped into my bones, but it also cleared my mind. I didn't come for tourism, I came to start over. I rented a small, old but cozy attic apartment in Le Marais, with its cobblestone alleys and bakeries that smelled glorious every morning. I began my new life by getting rid of everything that belonged to the past. I stopped wearing luxury brands, going to fancy places. I found a part-time job in a second-hand bookstore and took on freelance translation projects at night. I started living more slowly, like a nun, trying to cleanse the dirty memories of the last 10 years. Life continued like this until one day, I had a problem. My landlord, a surly-looking Frenchman, suddenly doubled my rent and threatened to evict me if I didn't pay, claiming I had breached an absurd clause in the French rental agreement that I didn't fully understand. I tried to argue, but my limited legal vocabulary was no match for his cunning. I felt helpless again, weak and easily intimidated. My friend, via message, advised me, "You have to find a lawyer. There are many American law firms in Paris. Don't let them take advantage of you." And that's how I ended up at a small law firm on a quiet street, specializing in helping American expatriates with civil matters. I entered, full of anxiety. The person who greeted me was not an old, experienced lawyer, but a young man, perhaps a few years older than me. He wore a simple white shirt and thin-rimmed glasses. He had an intellectual look, but his gaze was incredibly sharp. He looked at me and smiled kindly. "Hi, I'm Jacob. Please, have a seat. Tell me what's wrong." His voice was warm and deep, and his English was perfect. I explained my problem. I gave him the contract filled with French jargon. He read it quickly and then looked up, meeting my eyes directly. "He's scamming you." "I know," I stammered, "but I don't know what to do." Jacob didn't say much. He picked up the phone and called my landlord directly. I didn't understand everything he said in French, but I sensed the firmness, the determination, and the clear references to articles of law. His voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with authority. The call lasted barely 5 minutes. Jacob hung up, adjusted his glasses, and smiled at me. "It's settled. He won't bother you again. He says it was all a misunderstanding." I was stunned. "Just 5 minutes? How much do I owe you?" Jacob shook his head. "It's nothing. Fellow Americans have to help each other out." But he looked at me, his gaze warmer. "Next time you're about to sign something, bring it to me for a look. Don't let yourself be taken advantage of like that." He gave me his business card. I took it, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. It was the first time in a long time that I felt protected. Not a possessive, condescending protection like Alexander's, but a protection based on respect and professionalism. We became friends after that. We would sometimes have coffee at the bookstore where I worked. We talked about books, about Paris, about dreams. He never asked about my past. He was never curious about why I had fled here alone. He just listened. And by his side, I felt that my soul, which had been broken into 1,000 pieces, was slowly beginning to heal. 3 months passed. The winter in Paris was freezing, but work and the warm coffees with Jacob made my heart gradually find peace. I had grown accustomed to a new rhythm of life, to making my own decisions. The past in New York seemed distant, blurry like a nightmare. I started to think that maybe I would never have to hear those voices again. Until one night, returning to my attic after work, while I was preparing a simple dinner, my burner phone, the only one I used for communication, suddenly rang. An unknown number, a New York area code. My heart seized. Only my friend knew this number. I hesitated but finally answered. "Hello?" On the other end of the line, silence for a few seconds, just heavy, tired breathing. And then a voice. a voice I once thought I would never forget, but which now sounded strange, aged, and broken. "Olivia, it's Catherine." I froze, the phone cold in my hand. I said nothing. All my emotions were frozen. "Olivia, don't hang up, please. I'm begging you. I know you hate me. You hate Alexander, but forgive me." She began to sob, a desolate, pathetic cry from the other side of the phone. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice from trembling. I was not the weak girl from before. "Why are you calling me, ma'am?" I had called her Mom for 10 years, but the word ma'am that left my lips at that moment was light, yet sharp as a knife. Catherine seemed to stop at that address. Then she wailed, her crying growing louder. "Olivia, come back, please. Come back and save Alexander. He's dying." I frowned. What new trick was this? "I don't understand what you're saying." Ever since everything happened," Catherine sobbed. "He lost everything. The shares, the company. He locked himself in his room. He doesn't eat, he doesn't drink, only alcohol. Olivia, he's destroying himself. The doctor says he has severe depression, and yesterday," she took a ragged breath and said between sobs, "yesterday they found him in the bathroom. He tried to do something crazy. They rushed him to the ER. The doctor says he has a severe gastrointestinal hemorrhage and acute pancreatitis. He might not survive." I stood in silence, leaning against the cold wall. I imagined the scene. The arrogant, self-assured man from before, now lying in a hospital bed, struggling to breathe. "Olivia, my dear," Catherine pleaded. "He's in a coma, but he keeps calling your name. He keeps saying, 'Olivia, I was wrong.' The doctor says that maybe only you can save him. He has no will to live. I beg you, Olivia, as if I were on my knees. Come back to see him, just one last time. After all, it was 10 years of a relationship. Just come back once. If something happens to him, I won't be able to go on living." Her pleas echoed in my small room. The Parisian winter wind howled outside. 10 years of a relationship. She still had the nerve to mention those 10 years. I looked out the window. Snow had begun to fall, cold. I felt no pity. I felt no pain for him. He wasn't dying of love. He was dying from the collapse of his ego, from having lost everything. I could hear Catherine still crying on the other end of the line. I didn't say a word. Silently, I pressed the button to end the call. Catherine's call, her tears and pleas, haunted me for days. I tried to push it out of my mind, telling myself it was no longer my problem. I had hung up decisively, hoping it would be the last time I had to hear that voice, but I didn't know that my silence, my rejection, would push her to an even more insane and twisted decision. Much later, when I returned to the States, it was my friend who told me the whole story of that tragicomedy. My best friend didn't just console me from a distance. She secretly asked an acquaintance who worked at the hospital to monitor all of Catherine's family's movements. She feared that in their desperation, they would do something against me or use the media to slander me again. And what she discovered surpassed anyone's imagination. She told me that after I hung up on her, Catherine became completely desperate. Alexander was still in a deep coma. His condition was worsening because he had no will to live. In her despair, while looking through an old family photo album, she remembered something. She remembered my hometown. She immediately got in a car and drove there, to a small town hundreds of miles from the city. She didn't go to apologize to my relatives or to light a candle for my father. She went to find my distant cousin, my uncle's daughter. My cousin and I were not very close. My uncle's family had many financial difficulties and lived very reservedly. But most importantly, she resembled me by about 60 or 70%, especially in the eyes. With makeup and seen from a distance in dim light, it was easy to mistake her for me. Catherine arrived at my uncle's house, a humble one-story house in a narrow alley, looking haggard like someone who had lost everything, but still unable to hide the air of someone who had lived in luxury. She got straight to the point. She placed a check on the worn wooden table. $50,000. My friend said that was her offer. I need your daughter to help me with something. She just has to pretend to be Olivia, go to the hospital, and say a few encouraging words to Alexander. As soon as he recovers and has the will to live, this $50,000 will be for you and your family." My friend told me that my uncle's family was very poor. My aunt and uncle had worked hard their whole lives. My cousin had only finished high school and had stayed home to help her parents. They had never seen so much money together. $50,000 was a figure they wouldn't dare to imagine, even in their wildest dreams. They looked at each other with a mixture of fear and temptation in their eyes. They had vaguely heard that I had betrayed Alexander, that I had abandoned him on his wedding day. They thought maybe I had been wrong and this was their chance to amend my mistake and, in the process, help their own family. My cousin hesitated a little. She was scared, but Catherine knelt down and burst into tears, begging, "I beg you, child, save my son. If he dies, I won't want to live either. You just have to say, 'Honey, cheer up, I've come back to you.' Just that. You'll be saving a life." Finally, faced with the enormous sum of money and Catherine's desperate pleas, my cousin nodded. Catherine, relieved, immediately gave her a large amount of cash to buy clothes. She took her to the city, to a hair salon, and had her hair styled with soft waves, identical to mine. She even hired the same makeup artist who had done my makeup on my wedding day, asking him to make my cousin look as much like me as possible. When my friend told me this, I felt a chill. That mother, for her own stubbornness, was capable of resorting to any trick. She didn't care if it was right or wrong, if she was humiliating my cousin or offending me. She just wanted her son to wake up. She had turned my pain and betrayal into a role and hired a stranger to play it. That afternoon, they took my cousin to the hospital. She was wearing a beige knit dress that I used to wear often, and in her trembling hands, she held a fruit basket. She nervously and fearfully entered the VIP room where Alexander was in a coma, surrounded by countless machines. I asked my friend how my cousin felt at that moment. She told me, according to what a nurse on duty whom she had bribed told her, that my cousin was so scared her face was as white as a sheet. She was a simple country girl who had never experienced a situation like this. She tiptoed into the room. The strong smell of disinfectant mixed with the lingering scent of alcohol created a suffocating atmosphere. On the white bed, Alexander was gaunt, his face ashen, his eyes closed. He was very different from the handsome, elegant man my cousin had seen in my photos. Catherine, who was beside him, upon seeing my cousin, hastily gestured with an urgent look. My cousin, trembling, stood by the bed and said in a voice that still had the strong accent of her hometown, completely different from mine, "Alexander, it's me, Olivia." Her voice was timid and scared, but Alexander, in his delirium, didn't seem to notice. He had been on the verge of death for too long. He only heard a voice and the name, Olivia. Slowly, he opened his eyes, his clouded, lifeless gaze fixed on my cousin, and then a faint glimmer of light appeared in his eyes. Perhaps my cousin's image, which already resembled me through the veil of delirium, fever, and sedatives, had truly transformed into mine. "Olivia," he whispered in a hoarse voice. You came back. Really?" He made an effort to stretch out his thin arm, full of IV lines, and grabbed my cousin's hand. His hand was burning. "Olivia, I was wrong. Don't leave again." Catherine, seeing this, clasped her hands, so happy that tears welled up in her eyes. She quickly pushed my cousin to sit down and motioned for her to keep talking. My cousin, pressured by Catherine, stammered again. She was too scared. She had forgotten the entire script Catherine had prepared for her. She could only speak from instinct. "No, I won't leave. Cheer up. You have to get better." It was that second sentence, that trembling, strange voice, that pulled Alexander out of his delirium. The glimmer of light in his eyes vanished. He squinted, staring intently at my cousin. The fog cleared, replaced by a terrifying lucidity. He stared at the face, trying to smile at him. He realized those were not my eyes, that was not my smile. "Who are you?" he growled, weak but menacing. My cousin flinched and pulled her hand back. I'm Olivia. Don't you recognize me?" "No!" Alexander roared suddenly. A surge of anger gave him the strength to sit up and rip the IV from his arm. Blood splattered on my cousin's clothes. "You're not her. You're not Olivia." He swung his arm, knocking the tray of medicine off the bedside table. The metal clattered against the floor. "Get out! Get out of here!" He grabbed the flower vase from the table and threw it at her. She screamed and managed to dodge it. The vase shattered. Catherine ran to hug her son. "Alexander, what are you doing? It's Olivia. She really came back." "You're lying to me too." Alexander turned. His bloodshot eyes glared at his mother. "You all lie to me. Do you think I'm that stupid? Get out. All of you, get out." He screamed like a wounded beast, smashing everything within reach. The wound on his arm opened and blood began to gush out. Nurses and doctors, alerted by the noise, rushed in. It took 4 or 5 men to hold him down and administer a strong sedative. My cousin, terrified, fainted and was carried out by the nurses. When she woke up, crying, she demanded to go back to her hometown immediately. She no longer wanted the $50,000. Catherine's impersonation plan had not only failed spectacularly, but had nearly cost Alexander his life from the agitation. I listened to my friend's account with a sense of coldness. I felt no pity for Alexander. I only saw a person who, consumed by falsehood, would ultimately be destroyed by that same falsehood. The fact that I hung up on Catherine and the disastrous failure of the impersonation plan seemed to push her to the edge. She knew I was her only hope and began a campaign of psychological terrorism against me. She no longer called me because she knew I wouldn't answer. She used unknown numbers to send me voice messages through apps. At first, they were cries and pleas, detailing Alexander's critical condition, appealing to our 10 years of a relationship. When I didn't respond, the messages turned into insults and curses. "You are a heartless monster, a viper. If Alexander dies, it will be your fault. If you don't come back, you will regret it for the rest of your life. You will never be able to live in peace." Worse still, she started sending me photos. Photos of Alexander in the ICU, gaunt, pale, surrounded by tubes. Photos of the injuries he had inflicted on himself in his fits of madness. These images didn't soften me, they only made me sick. She was using her own son's fragile life as a weapon to hold me, to torment me. I started having insomnia. At night, in the bookstore, I could no longer concentrate on translations. The slightest sound of a message notification made me jump. I became irritable, tired. And Jacob noticed. He wasn't the type of person to press with questions. He simply stood by my side in silence. He would make me a cup of hot tea when he saw I was tired, or just sit with me in silence. One night, after another jolt from a horrible photo, I couldn't take it anymore. I buried my face on the table, my shoulders shaking. I told him everything. The 10 years of dating, the night before the wedding, the will, the twin pregnancy, and the daily harassment. Jacob listened without judgment, just remaining silent until I finished, until I looked up. With red-rimmed eyes, he looked at me with a firm, warm gaze. "Olivia, running away is not the solution." I looked up, my voice hoarse. "Then what do? I don't want to go back." "You're letting them control your emotions," Jacob said, his voice deep and clear. "Even from halfway across the world, they are manipulating you with guilt and fear. They will never leave you in peace if you don't cut that thread yourself." "Cut it?" "Yes," he nodded. "Avoiding them only makes them think you still care, that it still affects you. The more you remain silent, the more they will insist. You have to face them once, make everything clear, and end this once and for all. You have to show them you're not afraid, that you don't regret it, and that you no longer care." I hesitated. To return to that place, to face that person, the mother who once loved me but also deceived me mercilessly. I wasn't sure I had the courage. As if reading my thoughts, Jacob gently placed his hand on mine. His hand was warm. "You don't have to go alone." He looked at me and smiled. "I'll go back to the States with you." I was stunned. "Jacob, but what about your work here?" "I can work remotely," he smiled. "Besides, the home office branch needs me to resolve some pending matters. I can't let the woman I love face the storm alone." The woman I love. His words made my heart, which had turned cold as Parisian ice, suddenly feel warm. He was right. I couldn't run forever. I had to go back. Not for Alexander, not for Catherine, but for myself. I needed a clear ending so I could truly start a new life with this man. Okay, I agreed firmly. I'll go back. A flight of over 10 hours brought me back to the city I thought I would never set foot in again. 3 months is not a long time, but it's enough for everything to seem strange. Or maybe it was my heart that had changed. The air was still humid and suffocating, very different from the sharp cold of Paris. Jacob dragged his suitcase beside me. His calm and solidity gave me strength. Me, who was preparing for a battle. We went to the hotel. I used a completely new phone number to call Catherine. On the other end, she answered instantly, as if she had been waiting for this call for the past 3 months. "Hello, who is this?" "It's me, Olivia," I said calmly. She held her breath and then shouted, her voice distorted with joy. "Olivia, you're back. Where are you? Come to the hospital right now. Alexander." "I'm not going to the hospital," I interrupted coldly. "I've come back to set things straight. Let's meet somewhere, just you and him. If I see anyone else or any reporters, I will leave immediately." She stammered, probably surprised by my firmness. Okay. Then come to the greenhouse on the outskirts. That place is quiet. No one will bother us. I'll bring him there." She hung up hastily. The greenhouse on the outskirts. I knew it. It was a luxurious, high-tech agriculture project in which Alexander's group had invested a lot of money, a status symbol. Jacob drove me. He stopped at the main entrance without turning off the engine. He would wait outside. "Olivia?" He looked at me. "If anything happens, you just call. Or if you don't text me in 5 minutes, I'm coming in." I nodded gratefully. "It'll just be a moment." I got out of the car and walked alone towards the giant greenhouse that reflected the dazzling summer Sunday I passed through the automatic door. A cool air with the scent of plants and damp earth enveloped me. And then I gasped. Before me were not rows of organic vegetables or high-tech melons. Before me was an entire forest of pear blossoms, hundreds of pear trees in full bloom, a pristine white, their delicate petals trembling under the specialized LED lights. They had turned this greenhouse into an eternal spring. I stopped on the white gravel path, surrounded by a surreal beauty, an artificial beauty, forced with technology and money. I felt a bitter laugh rise inside me. Pear blossoms, my favorite, the same flowers that witnessed his declaration of love 10 years ago. Until the very end, he still thought love could be staged with money. He thought that by recreating a romantic scene, showing off a wealth that was perhaps no longer his, he could move me. I heard light footsteps. From behind an ancient, meticulously pruned pear tree, Alexander appeared. If Catherine hadn't warned me, I might not have recognized him. 3 months. Only 3 months. The handsome, arrogant man, always the center of attention. Now he was just a shadow. He was gaunt. His skin was grayish, wrapped in a long beige coat that was too big for him, as if he were swimming in it. His eyes were sunken, lifeless, filled with red veins. But upon seeing me, those eyes lit up with a strange light, a longing, a possession, a terrifying joy. "Olivia," he whispered, "you came back. Really, I knew you would come back." He walked towards me with a hesitant step, extending his arms as if to hug me. I instinctively took a step back. His outstretched arms froze in midair. His eyes were still fixed on me, a feverish look of a drowning man finding a lifesaver that sent a shiver down my spine. That gaunt face, the long, disheveled hair, I no longer recognized the man I had loved for 10 years. He was a stranger, or a walking shadow of the past. "But you're back. That's what matters," he swayed, trying to take another step towards me. I raised my hand, a firm gesture to stop him. He didn't dare move closer. He stood there in the middle of the fake pear blossom forest, and suddenly his legs gave way. He knelt. The proudest man I had ever known. The heir of a conglomerate, the one who had never bowed to anyone. Now he was on his knees before me on the cold white gravel. "Olivia, I was wrong. I know I was wrong," he began to cry, a hoarse, broken sob, as if he had run out of tears long ago. "You came back. That means you forgive me, right? I know you still love me. Our 10 years can't be thrown away just like that." I remained silent. I looked at him as if I were watching a play that had nothing to do with me. I felt no pain, No satisfaction, just a terrifying emptiness. Seeing that I didn't react, he panicked. He crawled on his knees, trying to get closer. "Olivia, are you angry about Chloe? About the pregnancy?" He looked at me, his bloodshot eyes gleaming with a crazed hope. "But don't worry anymore. I've fixed it. I've fixed everything." My body froze. "Fixed it?" Yes, he nodded frantically, like a child showing off his achievements. "You didn't like her, so I gave her money. A lot of money. She will never dare to appear in front of you again. She and her family have disappeared from the city." He looked at me, expecting praise. I took a deep breath, the cold air of the greenhouse filling my lungs. And the pregnancy doesn't exist anymore either," he said, with a lightness as if he were talking about something trivial. "The fall, that day, it was lost. Everything was lost. Olivia, there's nothing separating us anymore." My ears were ringing. He was talking about his legal wife and his twins. He used the word fixed as if he were getting rid of a broken object, a pile of trash. He believed that just by snapping his fingers, with all the obstacles gone, I would happily agree to come back. "You see?" He tried to smile, a twisted smile on his gaunt face. "I do everything for you. The shares. I don't have them anymore. I don't need them. The company has collapsed. I'll build it up again. I just need you, Olivia. Come back with me, please. We'll start over right here, in this pear garden, I promise you." I looked at him. A feeling of supreme disgust washed over me. It was worse than the feeling of betrayal. He was not human. He was an egocentric monster. My gaze must have been so cold that his smile faded. I shook my head, my voice terribly calm. "Alexander, you still don't understand." I do understand," he stammered. "No, you don't understand," I interrupted. "You're here, on your knees, crying. You've set up this whole garden. It's not because you're sorry. It's because you have regrets." "I'm not regretting, I'm sorry," he shouted weakly. "You regret being found out," I said slowly, word by word. "You don't regret betraying me. If I hadn't found that folder that night, if my plan had failed, right now you would be the chairman of the group, and I would be the puppet chairman's wife, while you happily enjoyed your other family. Wouldn't you?" He was stunned. My words were like a dagger to his heart. He couldn't deny it. I continued in the same monotonous voice. "You got rid of Chloe not because you loved me, but because she was an obstacle, the proof of your failure. Do you think I'm the last asset you have left? The lifesaver you cling to prove you haven't lost everything? But I'm not." "No, it's not like that," he stammered, panicking. I turned away. I didn't want to see that face for another second. "I came back not to hear your apologies, but to tell you that this is really over." Seeing me turn away, Alexander's desperation turned into madness. He jumped up. His gaunt body suddenly had incredible strength. He lunged at me and grabbed my wrist, squeezing it like a vice. "No, you're not leaving, you're mine. I won't let you leave. I've lost everything. I can't lose you too." I tried to pull away, but it was useless. Madness had made him lose his reason. He dragged me towards him. "Let her go." A deep, calm voice suddenly sounded from the greenhouse entrance. Alexander's hand stopped. He turned sharply. There stood Jacob. I don't know since when. He was still in his simple white shirt and dress pants, with his elegant and serene look. His presence in this chaotic scene was like a completely different painting. He was the polar opposite of the gaunt, disheveled Alexander in his enormous coat. "And who are you?" Alexander roared, but there was already bewilderment in his voice. Jacob was unfazed. He approached, his gaze calm but imposing. Gently but firmly, he pried Alexander's fingers off my wrist one by one. "I would appreciate it if you let her go." When my hand was free, Jacob placed me behind him, protecting me. He looked directly into Alexander's eyes with the same polite voice. "Hello, I'm Jacob. I'm Olivia's boyfriend." Boyfriend. Those two words were like the final hammer blow that shattered Alexander's last hopes. He looked at me, then at Jacob. He took a step back, then another. "Boyfriend? No, it can't be." He shook his head, as if he didn't believe what he was hearing. He looked at me, his gaze shifting from madness to utter despair. He clutched his chest, and a violent coughing fit racked his body. He coughed so hard he doubled over, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood. The dark red blood splattered on the white petals covering the ground at his feet. He collapsed, his eyes still open, staring at me before losing consciousness. The image of Alexander falling, coughing up blood happened right in front of me. A part of me, perhaps the instinct of a 10-year relationship, wanted to run to him, but Jacob stopped me. "Don't go. Our work here is done." He was right. I was not a doctor, and I was no longer anything to him. Jacob took off his jacket and put it over my shoulders, covering the tremors I was trying to suppress. He took my hand, a firm hand, and helped me walk. We passed by Alexander's convulsing body without looking back. His weak groans could be heard behind us, mixed with the soft music that still played automatically in the greenhouse. As we were about to leave, a figure stood in our way. It was Catherine. She was no longer crying or begging like on the phone. Now her face, which had aged 10 years and 3 months, was disfigured by rage. She had just seen her son fall. "Stop!" she screamed in a shrill voice. "You are a demon. Are you happy now? Do you see what you've done to him? If something happens to him, you'll be glad. You are so cruel, Olivia." She raised her hand, a thin, wrinkled hand, to slap me. But Jacob stopped the slap in midair. His hand gripped Catherine's wrist, holding it firmly. "Ma'am, please, have some respect." Jacob's voice was still calm, but cold as steel. She tried to break free, but couldn't. She turned to me, continuing her curses. "You brought your lover here to humiliate him?" I gestured for Jacob to let her go. I took a step forward, facing Catherine, facing the woman I once called mother. "You say he's like this because of me?" I asked, my voice equally icy. "Of course he is," she screamed. "You abandoned him, and now you come back to torture him." I looked her straight in the eye. Those eyes that once looked at me with love now only reflected hatred and stubbornness. "It's his own fault," I said clearly, "and yours, ma'am." "What? What are you saying?" She was stunned. "He is a traitor, and you," I growled. "You are his accomplice. You knew everything. You knew your son was a bigamist. You knew he had a child with Chloe. But you still came to the hotel to see me, put the family bracelet on me, and made me promise to trust him. Why did you do it?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "For our love? No. For the will, for the immense fortune. You were afraid I would cancel the wedding and your son would lose everything." Catherine's face turned white as wax. She stepped back. I had hit the nail on the head. "You covered up his deceit," I continued. "You used me as a tool for your son to get the inheritance. You even had the cruelty to find someone to impersonate me. A cheap farce. You never truly considered me your daughter. Him being like this is his punishment. And you, seeing your son like this today, that is the price you pay for your cover-up and your greed. I have nothing more to say." I took Jacob's hand. "Let's go." "Stop. Come back here." We left, leaving behind Catherine's hysterical screams, Alexander's groans from the pear garden, and a 10-year past of lies. As Jacob and I got into the car, I sent a single message to my friend. "Call an ambulance to the greenhouse on the outskirts. Alexander Thorne." The car started, taking me far away from that place forever. Years later, Paris greets winter with light, white snowflakes. Jacob and I are married. We have a quiet life. It's not as luxurious as my past, but it's warm and fulfilling. I've opened a small second-hand bookstore in an old alley, specializing in American and French literature. Jacob continues his work as a lawyer. He is now a respected voice defending American expatriates abroad. One Saturday afternoon, with a gentle snowfall, Jacob and I are taking a walk after closing the bookstore. We are holding hands. He goes into a small grocery store to buy some spices his mother back in the States asked him for over the phone. I wait for him outside, huddled in my beige wool coat. Across the street is a small restaurant with warm, bright lights. The sign says, "Traditional Pho." The aroma of broth, star anise, cinnamon, and cardamom wafts through the cold street, a nostalgic scent. The place is full, with locals and curious tourists. I look curiously through the large window, fogged up by steam. And then I freeze. The man behind the counter, laboriously slicing thin pieces of beef with speed and precision. He is much thinner. His hair has streaks of gray, his back is slightly stooped. He wears an apron and works diligently, without distraction. There is not a trace left of the arrogant young millionaire, the dazzling heir of yesteryear. Just then, as if by premonition, he looks up. Perhaps he feels someone staring at him. Our gazes meet across the steamed-up glass, through the dense traffic, through nearly a decade of hatred and pain. He stops, the knife still in his hand. In his eyes, I no longer see madness, or possession, or even hatred. Only a deep weariness, an acceptance of his fate, and a surprising serenity. Me too. My heart is calm, like a lake on a windless day. I no longer feel hatred or disgust. He is just an old acquaintance in a very distant place. Jacob comes out of the store, puts his arm around my shoulders, and hands me a bag of warm ginger candies. "Are you cold, my love? I bought these to warm you up." I smile and shake my head. I take his hand. I turn away, without looking back at the pho restaurant. He has found a way to move on. I have too. He has probably paid for all his mistakes with the rest of his life. The past, however painful, is in the end just the past. It has been left on the other side of the street, wrapped in the hot steam of a bowl of soup. The greatest revenge isn't destroying those who have wronged you, it's finding your own peace. To forgive is not to say that what they did was okay, but to say that you will no longer let it poison your own soul. Jacob and I continue walking together towards the warm yellow lights at the end of the street, where our home awaits us.